Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure being here. And I heard today is a quite important day, so June 23rd. The Brexit discussion, even in the US where I'm living now, we see a little bit in the news, but I can tell you, if you think that this is something which is a little bit weird to watch and the different parties, I want to invite you to watch how it's going on in the United States and the battle they are fighting there. So this is really quite interesting learning how it goes. I really enjoy being in the United States, and a couple of things are really a little bit different. And I'm give you one example about when you are at Silicon Valley and when you talk to the people there. We are here in Europe, and I'm a German, as you can hear from my very strong accent, so sorry for that, that an improvement of about 20%, something like that. Would you agree that this is something which is quite nice, which is quite a good achievement? Okay, I see some are nodding. And in the Silicon Valley, I can tell you, when you can't improve something by 10 times or impact 1 billion people, it is irrelevant and you will not get any capital from the venture capitalist. So this is really a little bit a different thinking what they do, and for me it's very interesting seeing how it's going on and how in Silicon Valley they talk about the future. And I give you one great example. I'm pretty sure everybody has a smartphone, and it's amazing how a smartphone has changed our life. Pretty sure you have same experience like I have, that we are using it for private purpose as well as for business purpose consistently. So, and the millenniums, the generation coming now in the labor market, is online all the time, and they use all the social media. I see some are doing this right here now. So this is really something which is changing, and also how the technology is impacting us. In the morning when I wake up, and Atlanta is known for traffic, I heard that this is also something which is in London or in Manchester, Liverpool, something you are used to. But in Atlanta, I can tell you, you really can spend a lot of time in your car going from A to B. And my app Waze is already informing me in the morning that I probably should leave 20 minutes earlier, or that I need to reschedule my meeting because I might be late. And this is really where we see how technology is getting more and more integrated, and where we really see that all the data available, what we are using, because the meeting invite is in my Outlook calendar stored, and Waze knows exactly when I start working and that I need probably Uber as a transportation. I know that Uber is a little bit a tricky topic to discuss, but in the US, I have to say I'm a big fan of Uber. It is one click. I get a Uber car. I will not call it cab or taxi because it's really a little bit different. And when I call Uber, it indicates immediately. It takes 3-5 minutes, whatever. But the good thing is, if you're a user of Spotify as well, your favorite music playlist will already be playing in the moment you open the door of the Uber car. You might laugh, and that's a funny gimmick. I agree on that. But you see how data are getting connected, and you really get also a little bit value out of that. Now it comes, and let's go more back to the business side. At the end, you need to pay. By the way, you might know, you just leave and say goodbye, have a good day, and everything will be processed in an automated way. If you're a user of Concur, one of the acquisitions SAP did for 8.3 billion, end of 2014, all the charges will be automatically processed in your system. It's a no-touch system, what you have, and everything is set. So this is a little bit where we see now that the data can be used and how it gets processed, and also how this will impacting our daily life. I have to say, using Uber, this is really a great experience, and it is so easy to use. Coming now a little bit on a broader scale to what are the changes on the technology side? What do we see? I think I mentioned a little bit the hyper-connectivity, what we have. So all the data, all the devices are getting connected. So studies saying that in the next years until 2020, 50 billion devices are getting connected. Imagine what these devices can do. Basically, whenever you have a smartphone, whenever you have a data point, you can be tracked. And by the way, it's also something about the data protection. US has a different perspective than here in Europe. Was an interesting assessment ongoing by some students in New York with the Uber data. Anybody who have heard about it? What they did? They used all the Uber data from all the connections, the drives, what they did. And students were very smart. They figured out something that you can exactly say who is cheating his wife. Yeah, you are laughing. But this is not just a funny story. I think I like it on the one way, what you can do with the data, but on the other side, that's a little bit scary. I can tell you how they did it. People living somewhere in the suburbs, nice family area, probably something typical in the US for 1, 2, 3 kids, whatever. They're going into the city, probably Wall Street. This is what they do on Monday, on Tuesday. On Wednesday, it's quite interesting. At the end of the day, they are going to a different place. And it's not a business place, it's not a restaurant, it's a private apartment place. And staying there for 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that, and then driving home. So it's just a best guess, but basically it shows a little bit also what you can do with the connected data. And imagine this, whenever you use your smartphone, the data are getting tracked and everybody knows we are here in this room right now. Today, nobody can access the data, but do we know what's happening in the next years? This is really something where we see the power of the data and something today we try to control, but in the future, something might also be invented which can access data. We even don't have any clue what you can do with that by then. Big data is also the analytics and the prescriptive guidance, what you can get out of it when you know exactly how a market will develop, how a market might evolve based on the historical data. You might not even be able to predict, you might also be able to prescribe. And this means that you can give clear guidance. And this is when the real value comes from the data. Imagine that you can take a purchasing decision based on the data. SAP Ariba was acquired by SAP back in 2012, 4.5 billion acquisition, because they had the largest business network, the B2B network. It's 1 trillion on commerce with more than 2 million suppliers. Just to give you a perspective, the global GDP is 80 trillion. So 1 trillion is already processed on the network. And imagine what you can do with the data when you are now getting access and really see per country, per category, per region, even going further down, what you can potentially do with the data and how data can be used. Industry 4.0, Internet of Things, new technologies like 3D printing coming up, robotics. A lot of people think that robotics is only limited to the typical human-like looking robots helping you or replacing something. But robotics goes much further. And today, a lot of people even don't know that robotics is used. I yesterday educated somebody from an insurance company that in the US, when you get calls, and I can tell you get a lot of calls as soon as your number is public, so basically they can find you, they call you. And they call you whenever they think it's a good time. And at the beginning, I needed also a little bit time to figure out, I talk to a machine. And this machine is saying you, hello, I'm John, I'm from this insurance company, and I would like to talk with you about this. Do I speak to Marcel Vollmer? Yes, and then it goes, and really, depending on the questions, this machine keeps going for about 1, maximum 2 minutes, and after that, you're getting connected. As soon as you ask a question, or if you say, hey guy, I don't have any time, or hold on just a second, I connect you, and then you speak to a human right away, and this guy knows exactly what was said already before. And this is really where we see what you can do today with the data already. So this is live. This is not, we are not at the part where I would say, let's predict a little bit what might come in the future. Cloud computing is a very hot topic, simplification, and really driving for much more cost-efficient way how you can use the data in the future. This is a little bit to set the context. These are the disruptive trends, what we see in the US, but everywhere in the world they are working on it to really ensure you can do the most out of it, what is possible today, and also to think about the future, what you might be able to do. What does this all mean for procurement now? And talking to procurement executives, like some of you probably are, I see four 4 changes and 4 fundamentally, I would even say a rethinking of the procurement function of the future. Probably procurement today is at a kind of inflection point, seeing that more and more transactional operative tasks are getting automated, and also seeing that KPIs and how procurement was measured in the past might no longer work in the future. I can tell you from my experience, I was CPO for more than 4 years. I restructured the procurement function for SAP internally, 4 billion spent, 800,000 invoices, 1 million trips for reimbursement, just to give you a little bit perspective. We are a software company, so it's indirect spend. It is not the highest complexity, no supply chain, no direct spend what we had. But number one, KPI, what do you guess was it? How procurement was measured? Savings. So when I had my first conversation, and before that, before I joined procurement, I was leading an in-house consulting organization within SAP, establishing shared services and also transforming, helping SAP to transform to become a cloud company and do some changes with the new setup of the new co-CEOs, Bill McDermott, our sole CEO today, and at this time it was Jim Hagemann-Snabe. I got asked after the internal projects and optimizing our personal expense side, so lowering the cost what we have by establishing shared services, as well as integrating the largest acquisitions, Business Object Sybase, what we did, that we need also to focus on the spend. 4 billion spent is quite a bit, and definitely worth to considering. And I was presenting the first savings, approved by controlling, line item by line item, in line with the purchasing policy and with the savings calculation policy. Typical savings structure, hard savings, soft savings, cost avoidance. I was presenting the number to my boss, the group CFO, and I was fairly proud and would say, hey, wow, that's a great achievement, isn't it? He looked at me and he only asked one question. Marcel, can you show me where the money is? Yeah, some of you are laughing, might have had the same experience. There is no money. There's nothing you can show. It's all calculated according to whatever you have defined as your internal policy, but basically where's the business value? And this is really something where we see, and when I talk now in my new role as a COO to a lot of CPOs, procurement executives, CFOs, this is definitely something what I learned, that procurement savings in that way might not be the concept for the future. It is more the value procurement as a function can create and the impact procurement can create by helping a company really to transform, to be successful and find new ways like supplier innovations. Coming now to Industry 4.0, Internet of Things. Today, a lot of buyers are still kept busy by searching something in a catalog. But in the future, probably what you are searching in a catalog gets printed next door from a 3D printing machine, a spare part, what you would need to wait for it, to get it, to find it first, search in a catalog, and then to order it, and then waiting for the shipment. It might get printed in the next time. A warehouse, by the way, can do the ordering much better than any buyer can do this. And by the way, a warehouse might also be connecting to Outlook, that a salesman is currently now and on the customer side, and this is the final negotiation before the contract gets signed. As soon as the contract is signed, most likely it will not be physical signature. It might be used by DocuSign, for example, that you have it electronically. A warehouse can start the ordering, that the supply chain gets automatically processed, and you get everything what you need to do that. It's not so far in the future. My favorite process, my favorite example is definitely P2P. We just have seen Simon before, the P2P process and what's possible on the automation side. For me, it's fascinating, and I can tell you I failed twice to implement an optical character recognition system for SAP. Companies were telling me, Marcel, there's a field recognition rate of 0.9, so 90%, 95%, and sounds impressive, doesn't it? How many fields do you need for an invoice? We need 24 fields. Have you ever calculated 0.9, 0.95, 24 times? I can tell you this is a very, very small number which comes up. In reality, 15%. The interesting thing for me was all the time that why the heck do we do that? An invoice gets created by a system. The smallest company, a 1-2-man company, is creating an invoice with Word, with Excel, whatever systems they are using. They are printing it, putting it in an envelope, ship it. The receiving company needs to open an envelope, scans the document, and then tries to capture the information which you had in 100% quality already in the system before. And that's really a process. Also think about the sustainability impact, total waste. That's a process, for my understanding, which needs totally to disappear. So therefore, I'm a strong believer of a lights-out shared services in the accounts payable area as a first element to start with. It will take probably a little bit longer. We know this. We have heard about paperless offices probably since the 90s, something like that. But look now. We have the technology and connecting people to networks, combining social media capabilities with marketplaces. We all know Amazon, eBay, Alibaba, for example. The entire processing is already electronically, just connected to an ERP system like we do it on the business network side, and you can process it touchless entirely. The next topic is the marketplace optimization and also what you have as a chance by thinking about, I mentioned the 80 trillion what we have as global GDP. So about 15 trillion is business to consumer. So where you see the Amazon, eBay, Alibaba side, very successful. But imagine the 65 trillion. This is what we do. I assume everybody is here from a company. And this is something where you have a huge potential for further optimization. But think also about what you can do by leveraging the purchasing power, what we have seen, what I have seen by myself, reaching out and placing an RFI and RFP on a network. I get access to suppliers I would never ever have approached. Suppliers totally unknown to all my buyers, and these suppliers are coming up because they are new, they have great ideas, and they might really to win business. And of course, if you have a strong brand, and I assume most of you have very valuable brands here, that they are probably also interested to make a very competitive price to have you as a reference and then to scale their business from there. That's how it works. That's not a big secret, but why to say no? This is really something what we can do and how we can help organizations. What does this mean now when we think a little bit about the procurement side and the impact what it has for all of us as we are in procurement? So I think the value procurement can create will be the new measurement and might be definitely something where you can also define if you have a strategic procurement function in the future, or probably if procurement, this is a lot what I see on the consulting side, on thought leadership papers, that procurement might disappear. Some of you might say, come on, this man must be totally ridiculous. This will never ever happen. But when you think about operational tactical tasks entirely getting automated, on the other side, it is pretty clear the procurement function will shrink. What's left? Strategic side. Strategic sourcing. You need a lot of experience. Procurement can add a lot of value. But you need to find a way also to realize the value. You need to have the expertise. You need to attract the right talents to drive the process. You need to drive a way to bring in supplier innovations to the organizations. Great example, by the way, is the glass for smartphones. That's a supplier innovation. If you can spend time to make this happen, selling, what was it, 65 million devices per quarter, I think that's really something where you can create a lot of value. By the way, the next one might have glass on the front and on the back so that you can use it, even not having a border anymore. Looks interesting. I don't know if this is true. It's just the best guessing, so don't bring this on Twitter, please. And on the organizational side, I mentioned that a couple of boxes might disappear. So this is one change. Supplier collaboration. When you partner with suppliers, when you really think about how to drive an innovation process, this will be much different than it is today. You will have big data, full transparency, not only on your own data. You might have also access to business networks, to market data, and you have the right tools to combine this to really drive sourcing decisions in a different way. I mentioned the digital sourcing, how this will evolve. I will show you an example in a minute. And then the network and marketplaces, which allow you also to collaborate in a different way with suppliers. You can start collaborating with suppliers in China, with India, on a platform on the next day. You don't need to fly in, you don't need to have the meetings. If you want to reach out to them, Skype is available and you can do it right away. Most companies using more and more Skype for business. That's probably one way and one element how you can drive this. So Our vision, by the way, I mentioned the business network, and yes, we have a fairly large network with 1 trillion on commerce on it, but our vision is not that we consolidate and get all the spend and ideally what's available globally. I know that some companies have a little bit this intent to become the market leader and eliminate the other competitors. Our approach is different. Our approach is more, we want to combine the networks, so network of networks, that whatever network is already in use can be linked, can be integrated, interoperability, that we can transfer the documents and the information on the network to be more scalable. This is the network vision, what we have as a company. And with that, we have a strong belief, and I love what Alex Atzberger, the president for SAP Ariba, came up with, make procurement awesome. So, not sure how it is in your organization. In my organization at SAP, I can tell you, and I will show this a little bit later to you, the reputation of procurement was not really the greatest. And probably thinking now about the business value, what we can create and how we can drive this. This might change, and we might have different options to do this. I have a more technical slide on how to integrate. I will not go too much in the details that we want to connect the supplier side on the top to sell, to fulfill, as well as to settle the process. The buyer side is exactly the other way around, to do the sourcing, as well as then the procurement processes, the operational side, and the settlement, the payment. We are doing this now for direct and indirect as well. So Ariba might be known as indirect spend in the past. The future is definitely on the direct spend side. It was great seeing for Microsoft, Satya Nadella on stage for our Sapphire, the big internal fair in May, what we had, and disclosing that now Microsoft is using our collaborative supply chain solution for the Surface Pro production. So this is really something where we see that the direct spend side is the next big topic, what will move into the cloud. And I know there's a lot of complexity, but basically this is what we are committed to also for future investments. Labor is very important. A lot of companies have a fairly large spend. SAP, out of the 4 billion, we have 30% on labor and services spend. And of course, finally, travel, as this in our definition is part of the source to pay process. Honestly spoken, I don't see really a difference, and I never have seen this when I've established shared services between paying a supplier or paying an employee. It's a payment process, that's it. According to the receipts, what you have got. So, by sharing a little bit, and I'm not here, and there are much more qualified people than me by doing presentations. But allow me to show you one thing, how the future might look like. And by the way, this is not something what I will present, which is too far in the future. Another 4 weeks, and we will go live. This is the new way how we have the entrance portal for all employees in our organization. And it is easy to use. You just click on something, and I will make it very short. I think everybody knows it. What is probably interesting is, and by the way, we are not Amazon. We don't want to motivate anybody to buy more, to be clear. So you get what you need for the business purpose, but it is not intended that, oh, yeah, John, great, you have bought this. Do you want to have also this, and that, because others have done it? No, we don't want this. We want to be a little bit more cost sensitive in the procurement function. So it's easy to check out, and the new thing is then that you definitely get full transparency also on the approval processes. That's an easy one, and you might say, come on, this guy is presenting a new catalog. I've seen this 25 times. It looks probably a little bit nicer, but that's all. We see it a little bit different, because this might be the new way how you collaborate also with your lines of businesses. When you have a facility manager, might have an individual screen how to start in a catalog, a new office setup to make something nice, for example. So it is today that you have basically the key information already available on one slide, on one page. And what you can do, you can give it a title. You can start immediately collaborating with the buyers from the procurement organization, because it is known who is doing facility buying in the organization. You can also start then, and you see the preferred suppliers popping up. Why? Procurement knows who are the preferred suppliers. And you can say that I want to add somebody because I heard there's a great company also in this specific area. It is a one click, and you can add a supplier. And what you also get is you get full transparency, as well as also for the internal catalog, the surface example, what I have shown, on all the approval steps. What's happening next? This is one platform. And by the way, if you want to reach out to one of the suppliers, you can call them right away from Skype or send an email out of the application. If you want to talk because you're not sure what really is needed, what's possible to do, you can collaborate with the procurement buyers immediately. You can start a chat. You can send an email. Whoever responds first will also be notified that the question has been answered, or you can call these guys. And this is a little bit where we see now that in procurement a lot is going on, and I mentioned the function might shrink in the future, which is fair to say, but on the other side, it is also that the impact procurement can create might be much different in the future, because you really focus on the value generating activities, and you have a different way also how you present this to the people within the organization. I learned I need to restart the presentation. I hope it comes up. I'm not here to do any demos, and if you want to know something more, happy also to share this with you. Allow me to give another example about the Internet of Things. Today, an airplane, or probably we have live examples already with Komatsu as well as Caterpillar, that a sensor can indicate already that maintenance is due. And probably when you know these machines, by the way, if they stand still for one day, it costs several $100,000. So they better keep going, that a mining company can continue the production. This is a process which gets initiated in a highly automated way. So probably a technician comes to your mine and indicates that there's a service due. You even don't know it because the purchase requisition has been processed already in the background. It's a totally lights out process, and already possible today and in use for large organizations. But think about RFID, the tiny chips. It is now cents what they cost. And if everything gets connected, the power and the potential what you have by really linking everything to the network, this is really tremendous. You can also, and I like the example on the invoice collaboration. Today's time, still situation is that if a PO does not fit to an invoice, a process starts, what's really going on, was there a change, and so on. Forget all this. You can, out of the invoice management application today, contact the supplier. What is the reason for the change? You can reach out to the line of business, and you can solve a problem right away out of one screen. It is not needed to have any other changes, no phone, no email. If you want a phone, call these guys immediately, one click, Skype for Business, it is done. And this is really something where you see the impact and the changes what we will have in procurement, and wherever you are on the scale. So you might want to have also the vision to ending up more in an end-to-end digital enterprise. This is what we learn as SAP, where we have focused now to transform our own organization, because on-premise, the monolithic ERP systems, this time I think is fair to say is dead as a future business model. It is more in the cloud. Everything is connected, so therefore this is the future with all the benefits what you have. And there are good reasons, by the way. MIT, together with Deloitte, came up with a study saying that when you have a higher digital maturity, you get 13% more revenue, you are 50% more profitable, and you have a higher market evaluation. And this is really where you see it is not just fiction. It is not something just yet, yeah, you might do it, or this is a nice system, or catalog looks nice, might help, but is it really the right time to do this? I know there are a lot of conflicting priorities all the time, but basically there's a clear business case and a value you can create out of the strategic procurement function for your organization. Coming now to a very short reference case. I promise this, and was asked also to include this in my presentation. When I started at SAP in 2004, it was interesting. So, by the way, as Gerhard mentioned, I was at DHL before. I was leading one of the largest integration of SAP systems in the context of integrating DHL into Deutsche Post, Euro Express, Danzas, all the acquisitions, what DHL did at this point in time. I thought I'm going now to the market leader, and wow, that's amazing. They might use all the software, all the fancy stuff customers not having access to. Yeah, some of you laughing, so you might see and can read the slide. Was not the case. SAP was fully focused, deliver what is important for customers, don't invest in your own system. We are not going to do that. SM5 is fine, just keep going. 2011, 7 years later, still the same setup was in place. But now imagine what it does. Millennials already are approaching the labor market, and we still had an SM5 catalog in place with very interesting screens like you need to search, you need first to get a 4-digit transaction code to access it. And then when you search something like a laptop, was funny for me. 2004, same 2011, search for a laptop, different models popping up. Funny thing is the pictures were all the same. I thought, that's a great level of standardization, isn't it? It turned out a little bit differently. Nobody has spent time to update the pictures. There was a little bit in need of change. And fortunately, in my time when I was CPO for SAP, we acquired Ariba, Fieldglass, and Concur, so therefore we had access immediately to all the cloud solutions. And as cloud is much simpler to implement, I've decided I upgrade SRM because this was a given, this was needed, 4 months, done. And then as soon as I had a chance, I implemented Ariba, the first one, the first acquisitions. I started the project for Fieldglass as well as for Concur to benefit. Last week we went live with the last user for Concur. So basically you book your trip as well as your travel expenses. The only thing what is left, what you need to do, make a picture of the invoice, done. You get reimbursed. And this is really something where you see, and you might say now that, wow, it took them 7 years to figure out that they are continuing on the same system. What the heck is this now, and how long might this take? Any guess how long it takes to implement when you just, let's say, Ariba as one example, because there's a little bit time in between due to the acquisitions. Any best guess how long it takes to implement it? 80,000 people organization, 4 billion spent.
4 years.
We did it a little bit shorter. 3 months implementation time. Strategic sourcing solution, business network, purchase order, invoice automation, discount pro, as well as the new catalog. We run on a single instance, and as I said, I definitely acknowledge we are a software company, we run indirect spend only. Much less complexities that some of you have. But basically you see how it's changing and how fast it goes. It took me 6 months to bring 1,000 suppliers on the network I interact with, another year for another 4,000, 5,000 in total what you see. And with that, we have processed already 400,000 invoices, and this is where the beauty comes. 50% reduction in not automated invoices. The paper invoices disappeared. 20% productivity gain. This translates directly what you see here, 35 people less in our shared services, procurement shared services, as well as in accounts payable. By the way, these are the resources you can reallocate for the most strategic thing. Final slide and wrapping up, I think we really need to think in procurement how to run simple, how to transform to ensure that we stay relevant as a procurement function. I'm a strong believer in procurement. I fell in love with the procurement function. I think it's the best function also for talents to get an overview end-to-end about an organization and the impact you can create. You can measure it, and it is definitely something with supplier innovations where you can change something for the better for your organization to create really value. But you need to do this, and you need to think about the right way, and I hope that procurement also will have a beautiful future and that the consultancies are proved wrong by saying that the remainder for strategic function might get integrated in the lines of businesses. With that, I hope this was insightful and sharing a little bit some meat. Many thanks for your attention. I appreciate it, and Gareth, probably we have time for some more questions. Thank you.
Thanks.